This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to the Roundup. We are tracking a massive weekend in sports, from the hardwood of the NCAA tournament to the diamond and the high-speed tracks of Formula One. Let's get started.
Formula One kicks off a wide-open 2026 racing season.
Duke and UConn battle for a Final Four spot.
Rookie Chase DeLauder makes history with his fourth homer.
Dominic Smith hits an emotional walk-off for the Braves.
Edwin Diaz brings live trumpets to his Dodgers debut.
Duke survives a Sweet 16 scare against St. John's.
The Big Ten enjoys a golden age in basketball.
Meet Michigan's 7'3" defensive star Ade Mara.
UConn women face a superstar challenge from Notre Dame.
Guardians fans celebrate the arrival of a new superstar.
First, the F1 season. The 2026 Formula One season has officially roared to life at Melbourne Park, and the landscape looks vastly different than it did just a few years ago. We are coming off a 2025 season where Lando Norris finally broke through to become world champion, ending Max Verstappen's incredible streak of 4 consecutive titles. It was a nail-biter that came down to the final race in Abu Dhabi, where Norris secured the championship by a mere 2 points. McLaren also took home the Constructors' title, signaling a potential shift in the hierarchy of the sport as we enter this new era.
While McLaren dominated 2025, the 2026 season is far from a sure thing for them due to massive regulation changes. We are seeing new rules for engines, chassis, tires, and even fuel, which usually levels the playing field. Early results from the first few races show Kimi Antonelli making a huge splash with wins in China and Japan, while George Russell took the opener in Australia. It is also worth noting the calendar is slightly shorter this year, as the Grand Prix in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia were cancelled due to regional conflicts, making every single point even more precious for the title contenders.
Next, the Elite Eight.
The road to the Final Four is narrowing, and Sunday brings a heavyweight clash between the top-seeded Duke Blue Devils and the number 2 seed UConn Huskies. Duke has been on an absolute tear, winning 14 straight games, though they have had some close calls in this tournament, including a tight 5-point win over St. John's in the Sweet 16. They are looking to return to the Final Four for the first time since Coach K's final season in 2002. This program is hungry to prove they can still reach the mountaintop under the current leadership and maintain their status as the overall number 1 seed.
Standing in their way is a UConn team that knows exactly what it takes to win it all, having secured back-to-back national championships in 2000-2003 and 2002-04. After a disappointing early exit last year, Dan Hurley has the Huskies back in the Elite Eight for the 14th time in school history. They looked dominant against UCLA and showed great poise in a gritty win over Michigan State. This matchup at Capital One Arena is essentially a battle of titans. The winner earns the East Region crown and a trip to the Final Four, and with both teams playing at such a high level, it is anyone's game. Now to Cleveland's rookie. In Seattle, we are witnessing one of the most incredible starts to a career in Major League Baseball history. Guardians rookie outfielder Chase DeLauder is making the league look easy. On Friday night, he crushed a 2-run home run in the 10th inning to lead Cleveland to a 6-5 victory over the Mariners. This was his 4th home run in just his 3rd career game. To put that in perspective, he is only the 3rd player ever to homer in each of his first 3 games, joining Kyle Lewis and Trevor Story. He is providing an immediate spark for a Cleveland offense that needed a boost.
The game itself was a back-and-forth thriller. Seattle's Julio Rodriguez tied it up in the 9th, but DeLauder's blast-off Mariners, closer Andres Munoz, proved to be the difference. We also saw some history from veteran Jose Ramirez, who joined the ranks of franchise legends Tris Speaker and Nap Lajoie by recording his 400th double. While the Mariners got a strong start from Brian Wu and a home run from Luke Raley, they just couldn't overcome the momentum Cleveland has right now. With rookie Slade Cecconi set to debut in the series finale, the Guardians are looking to keep this early season magic rolling.
Next, an emotional moment.
Baseball often provides moments that transcend the box score, and Dominic Smith's performance for the Braves on Saturday was exactly that. Smith, who recently lost his mother to cancer, delivered a walk-off grand slam in his debut with Atlanta to beat the Royals 6-2. According to the Elias Sports Bureau, he is the first player in MLB history to hit a walk-off grand slam in his first game with a new team. It was a 6-run ninth-inning explosion that erased a 2-run deficit. Smith was one of the last players to make the roster, and his impact was felt immediately by the sold-out crowd.
The emotional weight of the moment was clear as Smith spoke after the game. He mentioned how the Braves organization supported him during spring training while his mother was ill, prioritizing his well-being over baseball. He felt her presence during the celebration and is looking forward to the upcoming road trip to Anaheim to see his family and say his final goodbyes. On the field, he took a 3-2 pitch from Carlos Estevez, deep into the right field seats. It was a powerful reminder of the human element in sports and how a team can become a family during the most difficult times in a player's life. Now, the Dodgers' debut. The Los Angeles Dodgers made a huge splash this offseason by signing closer Edwin Diaz, and his debut on Friday night was everything fans hoped for and more. When the ninth inning arrived in a tight 5-4 game against the Diamondbacks, the lights dimmed and the familiar sounds of Narco began to play. But the Dodgers took it a step further than the Mets ever did, by bringing in a live trumpet player, Tatiana Tate, to perform the entrance music. It created an electric atmosphere that completely energized the stadium. Diaz admitted he was surprised by the live performance, but absolutely loved the energy it brought.
Diaz backed up the spectacle with a dominant performance on the mound, striking out 2 batters to secure his first save in Dodgers blue. Manager Dave Roberts noted that the team wanted to give the fans a special experience, and it clearly worked. The Dodgers' bullpen was a bit of a question mark at times last season, so having a lockdown closer like Diaz provides a huge sense of security. If this debut is any indication, the ninth inning in Los Angeles is going to be one of the most entertaining shows in baseball this year, combining elite pitching with high-level theatrical production.
Next, Sweet 16 highlights.
Friday's Sweet 16 action was headlined by Duke's gritty 80-75 win over St. John's. The Blue Devils had to overcome a 10-point deficit, which is something they have actually done 6 times now this season. Isaiah Evans led the way with 25 points, while Cameron Boozer continued his dominant run with another double-double. This win was particularly significant because it handed Rick Pitino only his second career loss in the Sweet 16. Duke seems to have a knack for beating St. John's during their championship seasons, and they are now just 3 wins away from making that a reality once again in 2026.
Meanwhile, Michigan showed why they are a serious title contender by taking down Alabama. The Crimson Tide were hot from 3-point range early on, but the Wolverines didn't panic. They slowed the game down in the second half and let Big Ten Player of the Year Yaxel Lendeborg take over. Lendeborg finished with an impressive stat line of 23 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists. Michigan's ability to respond to Alabama's pace and physicality proved they have the maturity needed for a deep run. They are part of a strong Big Ten contingent that is looking to end a long championship drought for the conference. Now, conference dominance. The Big Ten is currently enjoying what many are calling a golden age. With Indiana winning the football national title earlier this year, the focus has shifted to the hardwood, where the conference has a legitimate chance to put 3 teams in the men's Final Four. Michigan, Purdue, and either Illinois or Iowa are all still in the hunt. This is the first time in a generation that the Big Ten has looked this dominant across the board. Fans are desperate to see the conference win its first men's basketball national title since Michigan State did it back in the year 2000.
On the women's side, the bracket has been much more predictable but no less exciting. The top 4 seeds, UConn, Texas, South Carolina, and UCLA, have all cruised into the later rounds. It is a repeat of last year's Final Four lineup, showing just how much of a gap there is between the elite programs and the rest of the field. While the men's tournament has seen plenty of upsets and conference shifts, the women's game is currently defined by the sustained excellence of these powerhouse programs. Whether anyone can actually topple South Carolina or UConn remains the biggest question as we head toward the weekend.
Next, Michigan's big man.
One of the biggest reasons for Michigan's success this season is literally their size, specifically 7'3" center Ade Mara. Mara, a transfer from UCLA, has become a defensive nightmare for opponents. He was recently named the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, and for good reason. He isn't just a tall body, he has incredible mobility and touch, as seen in his 24-point performance against Ohio State. His parents were both professional athletes in Spain, so the pedigree is definitely there. He anchors a Michigan lineup that features 8 players standing 6'6" or taller, making them one of the lengthiest teams in history.
Mara's impact goes beyond just scoring. He is a nightly double-double threat who can also pass out of the post, evidenced by his 6 assists in a game against Wake Forest. Having a player who can block 5 or 6 shots in a single game changes how teams have to attack the rim. When you pair him with forwards like Yaxel Lendeborg and Merez Johnson Jr., the Wolverines simply overwhelm teams with their reach. As they move deeper into the tournament, Mara's ability to stay out of foul trouble and protect the paint will be the deciding factor in whether Michigan can actually win it all. Now, Women's Elite 8. The Women's Elite 8 features a fascinating matchup between the legendary UConn Huskies and a surging Notre Dame squad led by superstar Hannah Hidalgo. UConn has been perfect so far in the tournament, with Sarah Strong and Azzi Fudd leading a balanced attack that has dismantled every opponent in their path. They are searching for their 25th Final Four appearance, a staggering number that speaks to the program's historical dominance. However, they are facing a Notre Dame team that has all the momentum right now. The Irish are the 6th seed, but they are playing like a top-tier contender thanks to Hidalgo's historic performances.
Hannah Hidalgo is coming off a 30-point triple-double, which is only the second time that has ever happened in the history of the NCAA women's tournament. She has the ability to take over a game single-handedly, which makes Notre Dame a very dangerous underdog. This game in Fort Worth is expected to be one of the most watched of the tournament. While UConn has the depth and the championship pedigree, they haven't faced a dynamic playmaker quite like Hidalgo yet. It is a classic battle of a powerhouse system versus an individual superstar, and the winner will head to Phoenix for the Final Four.
Finally, the chosen one.
We have to go back to Cleveland for a moment, because the hype around Chase DeLauter is reaching a fever pitch. Fans are already calling him the chosen one after his heroics against the Mariners. What makes his start so impressive is that he was actually struggling earlier in the game against starter Brian Wu. But when the game was on the line in the 10th inning against one of the league's best closers, Andres Munoz, DeLauter didn't blink. He took a 97-mile-per-hour fastball that was actually out of the zone and drove it over the left field wall. It is rare to see a rookie show that kind of plate discipline.
The excitement in Cleveland is palpable because DeLauter represents a new era of power hitting for the franchise. He was highly touted in the minor leagues, but nobody expected him to rewrite the record books in his first 3 days. The Guardians won the game 6-5, but the story is clearly about the ceiling for this kid. If he can continue to adjust to major league pitching this quickly, he could be a perennial all-star. For now, Guardians fans are just enjoying the ride, as this is easily some of the most fun baseball the city has seen in years, and we are only 1 series in. That wraps up our sports roundup for today. Thanks for joining us for these updates. Be sure to follow the show for your next daily briefing. We will see you tomorrow.